What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Rockabilly build series. This is going to be covering stage 4, which is the last video of tube construction on the Rockabilly. We just finished up stage 3 and we've got a completed chassis minus the front, which is what we're going to be tackling in today's video. What we have is we've got our tube templates and length templates there so that we can get everything cut and bent. And then we've got the fixtures as well as the laser cut pieces. Now, these are probably the most difficult fixtures to get assembled just because this front end is pretty pointy and narrow up front. So to try and get everything packed in, it's a lot of stacking pieces. So we're gonna go through and explain exactly how all of these go together and how the laser cut pieces all get mounted in there Also, this one here. Now, we talked about this in an earlier stage, in stage 2.1, when we were doing the down bars of the V, but this is never really very specifically pointed out when to install it. You can install it at any time. It's the dash bar, and it goes on the inside of the chassis in this area. So we're gonna get that installed in this stage. Before we dive into explaining how these things all go together, I have gone through and pre-tapped all of my laser cut parts. These 3 parts plus the one from the previous stage, they should all be tapped to M3 on all of the available holes. This one here gets M3 and M2.5. These 2 outer holes, those are M2.5. Those are for the hood hold down. I've gone over that in previous videos where I showed hitting it quickly with a spot drill and then tapping with a spiral tap. So refer to those in case you're looking for a little bit more guidance on the tapping. But before I assemble these, I am gonna go through and do my foil lining so that I don't have to come back and redo any of it. So I'm gonna quickly do some foil tape on everything. And again, I explained this in previous videos as well, but what that foil tape is doing is help make sure that nothing sticks to the tubing after it's welded. It just makes for a lot less cleanup. You're not getting, hot PLA off of your tubes. While the PLA does come off pretty easily, this just saves you a little bit of extra time. To assemble the fixtures, we're gonna start with the 2 largest portions. Now, these will match up to each other, and you can see they're not quite a mirror image. One side is a little bit larger than the other, and that's actually for the purpose of the laser cut parts. And on the bottom side, the kind of H style piece, it's gonna fit right into that jig. Once it's in place, you can thread a piece of M3 hardware in from the top side and it will thread into that steel part, similar to the previous stage. Next, we can grab the front shock tower support, and it fits on the front side of those fixtures. And once it's in place, you can do the same thing by attaching some hardware in from the back side. Next, I'm going to show you the installation of the rear tube braces. Now, it's going to be shown out of order because I recommend installing it before you get the front half installed so that you don't run into interference when trying to install these 2 screws. 2 pieces are similarly shaped, but one is longer than the other. The longer of the 2 is the top version. This piece is going to mount to the back side of the fixture, with the side that has the bumps on it towards the top as well. The other side is more flat, so we're going to use that other side, and that's going to face upwards. And it's going to attach to the back side of the fixture right there. Once it's installed, we can install the other side on the bottom, and again, the side with the bumps is going to face outwards. So that means on this version, it's going to be towards the bottom. We can now move on to the next pieces. The front side of these fixtures has the vertical holes on them. The back side of them is going to match up to the laser cut piece that we previously mounted. When this fixture is installed, it uses this screw and this screw down here, and it mounts to this hole on the shock tower and this one up here. It dodges the previously used holes that we attached the back side of the fixture with. Next, we're gonna grab these 2 similarly shaped parts. These stack on top of each other in this orientation. These 2 fixtures are going to attach through those holes in the front side. The half that is a little bit larger is going to go towards the bottom. Now with those front two pieces installed, we can install two more pieces of the laser cut parts. The piece that has the extra 2.5 millimeter holes towards the outside, that goes on the top side of the fixture, which is opposite this laser cut piece. And the other piece of laser cut material will go on the bottom. I used a piece of that coarse thread hardware to hold those upper and lower parts on because you can kind of get it to go through that threaded hole. Works well enough for what we're doing right now. And now that is the completed front set of fixturing. It's a pretty complex looking little fixture set and it's not the easiest to assemble, but to be able to do this in a way that you can weld it and then disassemble and get the fixtures out without having to just completely break them apart kind of requires this multi-step, function style fixturing. So it'll all make sense once you get into the fabrication and welding side of it. But now we can get this attached to the chassis. The rear two pieces on the fixture set are going to mount up to this dash bar as well as this lower section between the uprights. You can get it held in place with a couple of the zip ties. With the fixturing all installed, you should notice that the rear laser cut piece on the bottom there lines up with the rear uprights. It'll kind of sit just on either side of them, just confirming and centering up the fixtures to make sure that everything is in the proper place. And now we're ready to start cutting, bending, and getting tubes put into the fixtures. The front upper bumper bar is another double bend situation, similar to how we had in phase 2 or stage 2, like with the windshield bar. So I've already bent one side, I had a mark there. I've marked the second bend to kind of match up with my template. Again, we're bending from the middle out just to try and keep the shape of our bends symmetrical. Even with a radius bender like this, the bends can be slightly asymmetrical, so if you just do it consistently from like the inside out, you'll get the bars or tubes that look the most identical from one side to the other. So I'm gonna put this in the bender, we're gonna match up our line, I'm gonna add some tension, double check. Now again, like we did in the previous stage, we need to make sure that this kick up is in the same line as the rest of our tubing. So either get in front and look this way and make sure that it all lines up in one line, or do it from the back side and look down the tube that way. But either way should give you similar results. Once you have it lined up, you can use your tube template as the guide. There we go. My tubes are ready to start putting into the fixture. Now this stage also kind of has sub stages. The first part of this is tubes 26 through 30. So that's the hood bars, the front rails, the upper bumper, the lower bumper, and the uprights. So I've got all of those done. Those are all of the 3/16 inch pieces for this part. So we're gonna get all of these put into the fixture first. Now, one thing again to note is the lower bumper here. You can see how I've got that cut longer than the actual template shows. And that's for a reason. If to this point you've got to any part where you've done one of these where it's got an end of a tube that's close to where the joint is, it is easy to burn the end of that tube, further past what would be a solid end. I've done some cleanup on that one already, but on some of the other ones, you can see you see there the top of that tube, the shape is slightly deformed. And it can get way worse. You can actually blow all the way through there pretty easily. I've done a pretty consistent job on this one. That one looks like it's a little hot. It's got some extra length to clean up though. But if you cut it longer, you can weld that in. You'll minimize the chances of blowing out the end of a tube, and then you can just kind of sand it shorter in the final process when you're doing the final cleanup. Tubes 26 and 27 are very similar in length. The hood bar, that's the upper hood. So that goes along this line and down, which is called a hood line bar. Then the front rail is like a frame rail. So like this would be a rear lower frame rail, and then this will be in front upper frame rail. Now they are, as I mentioned, very similar in length. So I did put 4 hash marks on the hood just so that I can remember which one is which in case I don't have my template handy. I just know which one I marked. And again, I also did the 3 hash marks to the front side of both of them as the template is showing. Just like previous stages, we're gonna start matching up, marking, and coping so that we can get all of the tubes into the fixture. There's tubes 26 through 30 in the fixture and ready to weld. Everything's pretty tight in here. Zip ties are all super close. There isn't a loop in the front fixtures for zip ties, so you need to zip tie towards the outside of the fixture around the laser cut part into the tube to get everything there. Make sure that you check the orientation of your front bumper bar so that it doesn't dip down. It should be level or even just a hair up to try and match the style. Center your front bumper bar as well, just to make sure that the amount of overhang is about the same, even though we are going to trim that, but just gives us the maximum effect of leaving the extra length as it is. You will need to also make sure and remember to tack the shock tower to both the upper and lower tubes to make sure that those are retained. Same goes with that underside laser cut piece. Make sure that that gets held to the tubes as well. And then you will need to do the same with the front laser cut parts. This front laser cut part up here does not butt all the way up to that front bumper bar. You can see there's a piece of fixture that separates them. It's supposed to be offset from that piece. So you'll tack those to the outside of those front hood rails. I'm gonna do one quick cleaning before we start welding, just to try and make sure that I've got everything off the tubes and I've got everything as good as possible to start from there. So quick wipe down, then right into welding. So we've got the 3/16 side of things welded out, and now we're ready to move to the 1/8 inch side. So for 1/8 inch, we've got braces to go from this inside corner to the bottom here on both sides, from the windshield V-bar to the corner of the front shock towers, and then the front bracing as well. I've got all my 1/8 inch braces cut and fit so they go in there, but with the angles that a lot of these are at, you can't really get them to stay in there easily. So these here, I was able to get fit and kind of held in place. They kind of wedge themselves in if you got them, you know, a tight fit. Now, these braces here can kind of go either way. In the drawings, you may see them go this way. I put them in this way on my first one, and there's been some user created files that have them going this way as well. So it just kind of depends on how you want to build it. What do you want to use? If you want to use any of those member created files or anything like that. But I'm gonna get these welded in, and then I'll just individually put each of the next ones in, hold them in on one side, tack, then tack the other side, and just work my way around. So I won't have everything in place while I'm welding, but we'll be able to get everything done. The last step will now be to put in the laser cut tabs that go in this corner. These get an M3 and an M2.5 tap into them, and they just go into the corner of these braces. And then we also are going to weld in the dash bar on the back side. Did a quick polish on it, and the actual welding of everything is done. We'll do a little bit more cleanup here and there just in case I find any joints. But the other thing we have to do is we have to cut out these two bars between the uprights. So I'm gonna use my cut-off tool and just cut right next to the upright on both sides. That wraps up all the fab that we have to do on the chassis itself. Now, still leaves plenty of work left to do. I have got the chassis cleaned up with a wire brush, and I'm in a good spot at this point to shoot it with some etching primer, and then I'm gonna shoot it with some paint. I like to use wheel paint from the auto parts store. It's got a little bit of metallic in it oftentimes, and it's a durable paint. So I've had really good luck with wheel paint. I don't like powder coat, never have. Just if you chip it, it's thicker. You can't touch it up or anything like that. You can't work on an area. So I stay away from powder coat. I'm just not a fan. But standard spray paint is my go-to. Wheel paint specifically. For this one, I'm gonna go with a lighter or brighter silver color. But I'm gonna shoot some etching primer on it first, get that done, grab my wheel paint and shoot it. and that's gonna be the end of this video. But there's still a lot left in this series. We've got to get the drivetrain. We also have to do all of the interior and all of that setup, which there is a lot to it and a lot of options of different things that you can do. So in the next episode, we'll start with the assembly of everything. Oftentimes I would dry fit a chassis like this, like put everything in without it painted first. But since I've already done one of these, the details are pretty well worked out. I don't need to go through all those steps and that extra work. I can just kind of plow right through and keep making progress. So that's going to be a little bit of our journey. And in our next video, it's going to start looking like an actual RC car very soon. So if you're interested in that, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already. This is a weekly series. If you'd like to see the videos early, you can check out the channel membership, which I'll put a link to down in the description below as well. There'll also be links to the actual project files in case you want to download this and tackle something like this on your own. But that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you on the next one.